Give me a sec, Daniel. I'm gonna do the presentation first, and then I'm gonna give it to you so you can present your talk. All right. So welcome again to one of our meetups. Today, unfortunately, Steve is not available to run the meetup, so I'm gonna do it on behalf of him. My name is Sebastian. You may know me from the Slack group. I'm always promoting the meetups, and I send the messages. I create all of the details and the slides for the events. So welcome again. If you are new to these meetups, we always run it on the first Tuesday of each month. And yeah, if you have any topic or subject you want to share with us, you can send it an email to either Steve or myself or Slack. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm going to do a bit of a presentation, and then I'm going to hand it off to Daniel. All right. So first of all, we want to, First of all, I want to thank our sponsors, CloudBees and JFrog. They have been with us for quite some time now. They've always supported us in all of our events and meetups. And right now, we actually have been quite some time without talking with either Ari, who is the sponsor from JFrog. So Ari, if you're there, please send us a message or a shout out here. And we look forward to keep up with the projects with you. So today, our speaker is Daniel Moran. He's going to be sharing us his talk, Managing GitHub Actions from the IDE. He's going to share all of the details, insights, and he has a really cool slideshow prepared. So yeah, Daniel, gonna give it away to you. So yeah.
Thank you. I'll share my screen. Please tell me if you can see my screen.
Yep, looks great.
Okay. So hey everyone, welcome. I'm Daniel. I'm a software developer for more than 20 years now, and I've developed in the past 6 months or so. I've been developing this plugin for JetBrains plugins to manage GitHub Actions. Just to gauge a little bit the audience, how familiar are you with GitHub Actions? Let's say between 1 and 5. Say 1, I've heard about it. I assume DevOps people, everybody heard about it. So 1 is I've heard about it but didn't use it, and 5 is I send myself push notification to drink water using GitHub Actions. So where do you stand with this? Look at the chat. Okay, I see it's all over the place. Just to note, I'm not going to focus on everything GitHub Actions. I'm just give a short overview of how it is, but I will, if there is time, then I'm happy to answer any questions people have. You can already see from here this animation of the plugin, but I'm going to demo it how it looks like. But just a little bit of background. What is GitHub Actions? It's a very nice way to manage your CI/CD. It will allow you to have the CI/CDs as YAML files as part of the repositories. They can be triggered by different events or by cron as well. And the basic structure is you have a workflow file, which is a YAML. It contains the section of when is it triggered, the jobs, and then each job has like several steps, and every step can be pretty much whatever you can imagine. If you can run it on a terminal, you can run it on GitHub Actions. That's kind of the essence of it. So you can send notification to Slack. You can, it integrates very well with GitHub Secrets, so you don't have to put like API keys or anything like this on as part of the YAML file in the repository. It integrates well with the GitHub Action. And GitHub allows you for private repository, if I remember correctly, it's like 2,000 minutes a month or something like this for free. So yeah, here is like how YAML files look like. So whenever there is an issue open, it will run my job, and then it will create these environment variables, and we'll run the curl command, which based on what it looks like, it will post a comment on the issue that was created. This is just like a very simple sample, and it has only one step. Obviously, like it can have multiple steps that run one after another, and you can have multiple jobs as well. Before I proceed, are there any questions? I know this is like a very, very, very quick introduction into what you can do with GitHub Actions, and there is much more you can do with it. Are there any questions? Cool, I'll proceed. The problem with GitHub Actions starts occurring when you work on a very large project, and I personally don't like switching. There are already 2 tabs in the browser, regardless of what's going on. So adding, in addition to this, like another few tabs per repositories that is managed in GitHub Action is just making it even more cluttered than it already is. And if you have the definition as part of the code repository, why not manage the execution as part of the IDE as well? That's kind of, it begs the question of like how to do it. Yeah, and you have the view here showing the view of the list of workflow runs, and then like when you enter a workflow run, that's the list of the different jobs, and there is an ability to run on a matrix with different variables. That way you can basically run the same CI on various scenarios, like different version of Python, different version of Redis in this case scenario. And once you click on the job, you can see the logs, the output of the execution of this job. So yeah, as I said, like it will be nice to have visibility to this in the IDE, where you actually write the workflow and make changes to it. I did write this plugin at the time of preparing this presentation, this deck. This is like apparently a lot of people have been facing the same problem that I have, and like this, and this is why I wanted to share this. Let me share with you how it looks like. So here I'm sharing it with PyCharm, but obviously it can work with any JetBrains IDEs that you're using. Under the .github, you have like the workflow, and here you have like an example for a workflow of running the unit test whenever there is a push or a pull request to the master branch. There is like the job, the linter, and after the linter, there is a job of like running the test. And the way this works, it's actually run on a matrix of all variation of different images of Python, of Redis, and so on and so forth. Now, whenever I push a change, I'm going to do kind of a sample here, just so you will see how it looks like. Actually, I did just before we started it, and you can see that it triggered the GitHub Actions, and here you can see the status of the jobs. It's similar to what you will see in the browser. Like that's exactly the situation that you will get in the browser, and it's just like it's nicer to have visibility for it here. It will download eventually the logs. For all their jobs, GitHub Actions do not keep the logs, and I do hope I will be able to show you. One of the things that is important, like GitHub API does not allow you to download the logs while the jobs are in progress. So basically, it's like kind of incomplete because you can see them here. I did write them about it, and hopefully they will fix it so I can add it to the plugin. If you have a large project with multiple repositories, then what happens, it's like you will be able to see it in different tabs here. You will be able as well, like here, this is an example of how the logs look like. There is like, yeah, you will be able to configure if you want to use like the GitHub account, or you want to use a specific GitHub token, and you can say which repositories you want to have a tab for, or you don't want to have a tab for. So this is pretty much it. Obviously, like, yeah, you can also there is like link to the browser. You can rerun a workflow from here. You can refresh the list. That's kind of given. And you can also, if you're like, for example, I'm here and I want to say, open the workflow file that is relevant, it will take you to the relevant workflow file, so you can edit it and make changes to it. And that way, you know, you can execute a different workflow, basically update the workflow. Are there any questions before I proceed?
Hey there, is this available for both VS Code as well?
So I know that there is a plugin for VS Code, but it's not mine. Like I'm not writing it. I've heard that there is a plugin. I'm not sure if it's more powerful, less powerful, but there is one.
Gotcha. And it looks like
JetBrains IDE.
And it looks like you've got your logs in the IDE. How did you manage to get them already?
So could you repeat that, please?
Sure. And it looks like you have your logs in the IDE already. How did you manage to get that? Or is that, have I got that wrong? Is that not those logs?
No, so it's like for workflows that are completed, meaning all the jobs in the workflow are completed. For example, like this is a job that was executed, let's say 2 weeks ago. If I click on the job, then yes, I can download the logs for it. But for jobs that are currently running, for workflows that are currently running like this one, and you can see that it shows you the list of jobs and that it's currently running. But when you click on it, it will say that you cannot download the logs while it's still in progress.
Ah, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, once all the 20 jobs finish, then it will be able to download the logs for it. Actually, can refresh and maybe. Oh. That's, I guess it's too old, this job, but yeah, it will show you the status of the different jobs, but not the logs while there is still jobs running. Yeah. Any other questions? That was pretty much my demo. There is like, I didn't like make a lot of it. I do want you to, first of all, like use it and feel free to open issues if you find any issues, anything that you will like. If you can also in like downloading the log from GitHub in real time, obviously if people +1 it, then it will make GitHub pay attention to it and make it available, and then I can address it. Right now, it's like I'm limited on this. And yeah, if you want to contribute not only by opening issues, by also contributing code, feel free as well. It's like I'm happy to have people contributing. This is a link to the repositories. I can also post it in the chat just to make it easier. Second. Just like as a conclusion, like it was a very nice experience. I learned, or I can say learned Kotlin again because I haven't used it since 2017. I learned the GitHub REST API and that it's incomplete. I also learned how to develop JetBrains plugins and their documentation. And I also realized that they currently didn't open an API to develop plugins for Fleet, which is their new version, but hopefully in the future they will, and it can be migrated easily. And most important, especially I started it initially for me because I worked on projects for customers which had like 40 repositories, and I had it was kind of difficult to manage in the browser in addition to everything that's going on, but having it as tabs in a window in the IDE together with all the repositories, that was very nicely done and made my life a lot easier. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a nice learning experience, and I'm actually using it as an other as well based on the downloads. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna do a quick Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions, you can either leave it on the chat, and we can answer those. But you can also turn on your microphones and leave us a question. If you have any doubts or question for Daniel, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Greg. I have one. First of all, really cool feature. I really want to try it. I use JetBrains and GitHub Actions a lot, so thanks for showing us. I was wondering, and this might be a big ask, but are there any plans to integrate this with the local execution test version of GitHub Actions, so you can run it locally?
That's actually, I haven't thought of this. It's a valid question, and look, I mean, this is exactly the kind of things like open an issue for it, and if enough people vote for it. I personally haven't. I found that the local runner is not as robust as sending it to GitHub Actions, which will then you can register. Forgot how it's called. You can register a runner there, and that way it will send you back to the local host. I found it's much more powerful than the test execution locally. But yeah, if enough people vote for it, then definitely I will address it.
Thank you. I'll open an issue. I think you're on the right track. It might be less robust than GitHub Actions itself, but I'll open an issue. We'll see what others think.
Hey, Daniel. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I have one more question. Great presentation, though. Thank you for that. I was wondering if you have some plans implementing similar for GitLab as well, just in case.
I haven't thought about this, honestly. I assume the API is different. I'm actually personally, I know that they have their own version with, I think it's called GitOps in GitLab, but I'm not familiar with how to use it, if it's even the same terminology of workflow job step. But it definitely can be done. I'm not sure if it's valuable to do it as part of this plugin or maybe a different one, probably.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, the workflow is pretty similar because you want to avoid using browser. You just want to see all those executions in your IDE, which may be handy. But yeah, I mean, I understand that this is a big chunk of work and may require some validation. Just was wondering if you were thinking about that. Thank you.
You see, there is a question from Philip. If you use GitHub output, does your plugin do anything with it? It just shows it like every step has like it shows the output of every step, but I'm not sure what you mean. Like, what do you mean by doing anything with the output? I'm not sure if I understand this question. Oh, I mean, it's not like saved in the IDE. It's just cache while the IDE is running, so it wouldn't ask it again and again. But it's not. It doesn't do anything with it.
All right. Does anybody else has any question or doubts for Daniel?
So this is Vadim. So it's not a question, just I want to share our experience with this plugin. So it's very useful in our in my projects. So and we're using it a lot and pretty happy. That's only wanted to share as well. Thank you.
That's great. That's perfect. Okay. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for your presentation today. It was really cool. It's really good, and I know people really have enjoyed today's presentation. So I wanted to also share it here. So yeah, for next month, we're gonna be having Adriana Villeda for April 4th, as always at 5 p.m. Eastern time. You can join us by Zoom. We are currently just hosting online events for the moment, but we do plan on having physical events in the future. So yeah, thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. Really hope you have enjoyed the presentation, and we'll be uploading the recording in a few hours. Thank you so much and have a good day, everybody.